Con ustedes, Kelly AHUJA, CEO de Versa Networks.
Welcome to IT Solutions Day. I'm Kelly AHUJA, CEO of Versa Networks, and I'd like to thank MAPS for including us in this special day coming to you in Mexico. What I'd like to cover today is what Versa is doing in Mexico and how our solutions are helping enterprises, not just in Mexico, but globally, address what they need, which is really to build the modern, secure network. So let's talk about what's going on in the industry and what's driving this. Today, more than ever, every enterprise is focused on digital transformation. What this really means is that they're shifting a lot of workloads that they used to have in the private data center to public cloud or embracing SaaS services to run their business. And these could be many services, including Microsoft Teams, Salesforce, Workday, et cetera, et cetera. What this means, though, is that every enterprise, as they do this, must rethink and transform their network and security architecture as well. Why is that? Well, very simply, in the past, the network was built around sites talking to another site, and that site could be a data center. And all the traffic from the remote sites where users would go to connect would go to the private data center to access the applications. If access to the internet was required, that was provided through a big security perimeter, a next-gen firewall at that data center, going to the internet to access all the external resources. And this has been placed for a long time for both users connecting from branches, but also remote users. Now, that's almost like saying that all travelers traveling internationally out of, say, Mexico must go to a single airport in Mexico City and then go through all the lines. And having been through the airport in Mexico City, even without that, it's pretty chaotic. So you can imagine what that would do. So to provide the users a very good application experience, new on-ramps have to be built closer to the user to be able to access the internet to connect to these applications. And that's really what a user to app or client to cloud experience is, the architecture that needs to be transformed. Many of the enterprises I speak to, I ask them, where are they on their digital transformation journey? And there's really four things that they talk to me about. One is they talk about their branches, how they're transforming their branches to connect the users to these cloud applications or to the internet directly. And they're using security and SD-WAN combined to do that. Second is really about remote users and how, with this pandemic, how the hybrid work environment has really forced a transformation for remote work. And there, a lot of enterprises are asking about zero trust network access, secure web gateway, because the old VPN architecture is no longer scaling or providing the capacity and scale and performance that's needed for cloud applications. The third is really about enterprises looking to embrace more clouds. Instead of just using one VPC or VNet in AWS or Azure, they want to use multiple VPCs or need to use multiple clouds. So how do you build a network fabric between those cloud instances that's tied to connecting users and branches to those applications that are sitting in those private workloads? And that's with using hybrid cloud networking or multi-cloud networking. And the last one is really about convergence of OT, operational technologies, with IT or users. And that's really about connecting devices, making sure that segmentation is happening in the local area network, as well as even in the outside the LAN as well, in remote locations with 5G or private locations like factories with mobile edge compute. All these are digital transformation journeys that every enterprise is. And the question I would ask you, or you as an enterprise, or you as a partner talking to an enterprise, is let's find out where an end user is on this journey and how do we help them accelerate to get all of these done as quickly as possible. But fundamentally, if you look at all of these, one theme is clear. Enterprises are basically trying to connect users to applications anywhere and anytime. Why or how? Well, clearly they need this as a business need, but they want to be able to deliver a secure and reliable and the best application experience for a user, no matter where the user is connecting in from. Maybe it's a remote user, maybe it's a home user, or somebody coming back to the office. But they want to be able to define their policy for that user to connect to the application once, not by different islands, which is the way it's been done before. And that's really leading to a construct or concept that I call software-defined enterprise. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because what's needed for software-defined enterprise is really to ask who is the end user? So identity is very important. What is their trust posture, which is what are they allowed to do? If they're in marketing, should they be able to access engineering applications? Or if they're in sales, should they be able to access finance information? And context, which is where are they logging in from? Are they logging in from a remote as a remote user? Are they traveling somewhere? Are they at the office? And how does that context, or perhaps it's time of the week or the month where maybe there's other activities going on in the business. So all that is important to then be able to, one, automate the policy configuration, and then also segment and slice the infrastructure and the policies to ensure that you're doing it right. Now, many of these things you can do today, and I'm sure a lot of your customers are doing that today. However, what this requires is a lot of boxes, physical boxes or virtual appliances that need to be stitched together. And there's a lot of cost and complexity of being able to pull this together and then managing it with different screens and different management systems. So the need is for an enterprise to be able to do this with a much simpler approach. Well, this is what Versa has done. Versa has actually delivered a powerful platform which integrates all the things you would discretely buy in these boxes in the past. Now, what are these functions? Well, we've taken routing, software-defined wide area networking, security, and many of the SASE elements, and built all that into a single stack of software, a unified software stack, along with orchestration and management tools. You take the software stack and you can put it on an appliance in a remote office, or you can put a virtual appliance in a cloud, private cloud or public cloud, or you can take a lightweight version of this software and put it even on an end device. And what that allows you to do is to leverage this functionality and build a secure overlay across the entire enterprise. So what are these functions that we're able to do? Well, Gartner has introduced this construct called SASE. What SASE says is the need for the enterprise is to connect users to applications, no matter where the user is, no matter where the applications are. And to be able to connect those users to those applications, they break up the requirements into two parts. One is network functions, which they categorize in the category called WAN Edge. And the second is security functions that are categorized in this security services edge. And they've identified key functions that are required to be able to do this. And Gartner says that, look, to be able to deliver the most effective way of a user connecting to an app anywhere, you need to do these functions either on-prem at particularly large offices or regional offices or branch offices, or in the cloud. And that could be for remote workers or home offices. So where these functions apply must be either of those locations, not just in one. And that's essentially what Gartner's built in this framework, which is really about converging network and security. Now that sounds familiar to you because that's what Versa has done. So who is Versa and what have we achieved? Well, Versa today is a leader in secure SD-WAN and SASE. Why is that the case? Well, we were the first to have converged network and security from ground up into a single software stack. That's cloud native, multi-tenant, is open with APIs. And essentially, we're a software company. We're a software business. And our go-to-market is all through partners of all types, service providers, system integrators, and value-added resellers. So today we have hundreds and thousands of partners, of which over 150 are service providers who take Versa technology and bring it to the enterprises. But then we also have hundreds and more than thousands probably of VARs and SIs to serve thousands of our enterprise customers that are out there today using Versa. And these customers are in many verticals. We have customers in financial services, banking, oil and gas, technology companies, retail, services companies, etc. And many of them are in Mexico as well. The result of our hard work and leadership has been rewarded by Gartner in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We are a Gartner Magic Quadrant leader, but more than the leadership quadrant, what's important for you to look at is a critical capabilities report that accompanies the Magic Quadrant. Why? Because what you'll find is that Versa is clearly a leader in all the critical capabilities that matter to enterprises. First, in all of the categories combined, Versa is a leader. In security, software-defined WAN, as well as remote user combined, we're the leader by far. And also for enterprise use cases of all sizes, in large enterprise, we're number one. But in every use case that you might have of a small footprint, security first or cloud first enterprise, Versa is either number one or number two. And in SD-WAN, we're rated as number one in that category as well. So certainly something that you should look at. So what is Versa Secure SD-WAN and why is it different? Well, Versa Secure SD-WAN is available as a solution that you can deploy yourself and manage and operate your network, which we call do it yourself, or you can purchase it as a managed service from one of our many service provider partners. It easily fits into your existing network architecture and also can be available as something that works with your existing router vendor or your existing security vendor as well, and works seamlessly across them. Now, the value is that we've actually integrated routing, SD-WAN, and security all into a single pack. So you don't necessarily need additional appliances, and you can take all of this and deploy it in hardware that is merchant-based hardware, x86-based appliances. Now, we've also built in genuine multi-tenancy, which allows you to take a single instance, a single device with a single instance of software and slice it. So in a retail environment, maybe you want to slice for guest Wi-Fi and another slice for your corporate or point of sale applications. Why is it important to slice? Well, the slices are important because it isolates not just the data plane, but you can also isolate the control plane and management plane for all the traffic. And then we allow you we give you a very sophisticated management and orchestration tool, a single pane of glass that gives you complete visibility of knowing everything you want to know about your sites, your applications, your users, your security threats, and doing something about it, and full automation and reporting as well. Now, what does that do for you? Well, an old architecture of a typical branch or an office might have multiple boxes, which we now simplify, and taking all of these functions and putting it on a single appliance that is directly connected to the internet because it's now got security built in, or it can also leverage any other WAN connection that you might be using today or might want to move to connect to your data center or other sites as well. Many customers have saved thousands of dollars by taking this approach, not just in CapEx, but also OpEx as well. Here's an example of one company that's actually done this. This customer had about 80 corporate global locations and had every site was connected via MPLS to other sites and to data center. And security for them was centralized at the data center, regional data centers. And from there, they were accessing to the internet. Now, every office had multiple appliances using, of course, routers, but even local firewalls, LAN-based firewalls, et cetera, switches and access points, and maybe even appliances for backup out of LTE. The challenges they were having is that their user experience for applications in the cloud was not very effective because cloud maybe was located in the same city they were, but they were having to backhaul the traffic to a different city and then come back to the cloud instance in their home city. They didn't have a lot of visibility into users and applications. And to do that required for them to add more probes, more appliances, and more management tools. The other thing is that they were trying to do connectivity both from one site to another site in a fully meshed environment, and also site to internet for traffic, consumer-based traffic, and also site to cloud, which is their own private cloud instances. And last part is that they actually were experiencing a large amount of expense and driven by complexity and the architecture, because the capital expense, the operational expense of circuits and appliances was going up. So what did they do? Well, they actually took an approach from Versa, which is they put in our software stack into just one and another one for backup appliance at each one of the branch offices. And they leveraged our routing, our SD-WAN, and our next-gen firewall capability, delivering high speed and high performance. By doing that, they were able to save a lot of expense at the branches. On the WAN side, they leveraged, instead of 2 MPLS links, they actually went to dual dedicated internet access links. And in some sites, they actually maintained an MPLS link as well. And they were able to use, by leveraging this architecture, they were able to leverage Versa's capability of multi-tenancy, et cetera, and connect directly to cloud gateways that we provide, but also connect directly to the internet as well. And this was a great way for them to be able to get a lot of bandwidth capacity, a lot of reduce the appliances, but also save a lot of money. In their business case, they were able to save $19 million over 5 years and also reduce their annual expenses as well. So a lot of savings were achieved by this one customer with only a handful of sites, but they're a technology company, so they were using a lot of heavy capacity and bandwidth. Now, Versa has also delivered a cloud service, SASE service as well. And this is predominantly designed for being able to provide access to your remote branches or your remote users to be able to connect this. So how we done that? Well, we have a global platform of 90 POPs, which is now growing and expanding every day. We allow for your remote users and even your non-SD-WAN branches to connect to this cloud infrastructure, these gateways. And so we micro-segment users and applications, and we provide you a policy framework that allows you to have a unified user policy, no matter which way the user is connecting, either connecting from on-prem or from the cloud. And then we again give you a single pane of glass. And as always, Versa's true integrated fashion, we take SD-WAN and we've actually implemented it down to a light version that can go into a laptop or a mobile device and extend SD-WAN all the way to the end user. So this allows us to be able to deliver multiple services to you. We can deliver something called private access, known as zero trust network access, where your users use our cloud service to be able to connect to private workloads. Your applications like Oracle, et cetera, and others, Jira and others, enterprise applications sitting in private data center or your private cloud IaaS infrastructure. Second is secure web gateway, which is really about public access. So your users can leverage the Versa SASE and Versa Cloud gateways to connect to the internet and other SaaS providers, but while securing their traffic before it goes out. And the last part is a combination of the two. You can take users and have both private cloud connectivity, private access, and public or internet access, secured internet access as well, which is a great way and a simple way of connecting this service to your end users. So now with all of this, what Versa can do is address the needs for your branch-based sites, but also your remote users. And this is a key area of differentiation for Versa because many vendors will only give you a cloud-based service, but not really an on-prem option for branches. Or they may just address remote users, but not necessarily branches as well. And that's clearly one of the differentiation, again, for Versa, because in the landscape that's out there, the way you need to think about it is there's networking companies and cloud companies, and they either do on-prem or they do cloud. So there may be companies that do only cloud security, for example, or networking only on-prem or security only on-prem. Now, Versa is the only company uniquely positioned to win in this space because our platform allows us to deliver network and security, both on-prem and in the cloud. And there's not too many vendors that can do that today. So that allows us to be very differentiated. Here's another example of a customer. This is a retail customer that has over 1,000 stores, and there's probably sites in Mexico as well that this retailer has. And they've been delivering connectivity for the retailers across many sites. And they've leveraged a MPLS-based infrastructure, lots of appliances, very similar to the other use case to kind of go do this. Now, using Versa, they achieved the same thing, which is leveraging our SD-WAN and security. They were able to reduce their network capacity, increase their network capacity dramatically, reduce their cost substantially, but also improve availability and performance of the applications and get a lot more visibility and control than they did before. So this has been clearly a use case in the win study for them. Another use case is that of another global customer that was really focused on remote site connectivity and remote users as well, who've actually we're seeing a lot of challenges with cloud application performance, not being able to have control of prioritizing the right applications. We're seeing a lot of carrier brownouts that was affecting their users and didn't have a lot of resources to go cover what they needed. So they actually leveraged Versa's SASE service to be able to consume both our branch-based solutions as well as our remote user-based services connectivity all at the same. They got security, they got network, they got user to application connectivity securely, all in a single platform. So those are a few examples of what we've achieved. And I'm pleased to let you know that earlier this year, we've actually entered Mexico with our own team based in Mexico that can work with you very closely. And my team's probably in the audience right today, and they are happy to work with you to work with your enterprise customers and show you what we can do. And we're looking forward to accelerating our business growth in Mexico when we already have some credible wins in place already, and we're looking to expand that and have joint success. So thank you, MAPS, for giving me the opportunity to present to your team today. And I appreciate the opportunity that we have to partner and work together and grow our business. Thank you.
Agradecemos a Kelly y AHUJA por su participación en el IT Solutions Day.